We all once in a while wonder if size matters. Well, I wanted to investigate what a big art journal would do to art journaling. Hello, lovely butterfly. Welcome back. It's France. I made myself a new art journal, and this one is twice the size of my regular art journal because, first of all, I've always been attracted to those big art journal that many artists use. And second of all, I wanted to see how switching that up would influence my art journaling and let you know my findings. Now, the first step was already hard. It was to just apply some texture on the paper. And it was already taking so much more time than what I'm used to because of the big surface. So I just started with some gesso, applied it with my brayer, and now I'm going to do the same thing but with some color. These are the fresco finish paper artsy chalk paints, and I just wanted to apply it with my brayer, but it was complicated because my brayer, not being that careful with it, is loaded with so much paint that rolling the paint is becoming complicated. My roller is no longer flat. I killed the roller. So meanwhile, I got a new one, but I had to do this with this one. So it was a bit of a fight, and considering the big surface, well, it was double a fight, but nonetheless, fun. Fun to discover so much space to work on. I'm switching up colors so that I can build up the layers and have some variations going on. Now, I have no idea where the spread is taking me. I have actually a more or less idea of what it is I want to do, but I have no idea if it will work on such a big surface. So for now, just applying some color. One of the things that I'm eager to try now that my first building up of layers is dry is to go in with soft pastels. Now I know that these are highly pigmented, so I will have a lot of color going on, and I want to blend it in using gesso. So first I'm just scraping it on the surface, and then I can go in with the gesso, and I just want to do so with my hands. I did expect a lot of color, but I did not expect this much color. And this is where I was very, very happy that I was working so big, because I had a lot of space to spread out that color and to tone it down using my gesso. I repeated the same process on the other side, first pushing everything back with my hand and the gesso, and then going back in with my paintbrush to blend everything. But because it's so big, we're already 7 minutes in this video and I've already only done some building up the layers in the background. And I'm still not done yet, so I'm going back in with some earthy tones in the fresco finish, applying them with a baby wipe. Again, pushing it into the background to keep it dreamy. This is a big background to build up. I was losing too much of my texture to my liking, so I went back in with my brayer as good as I could because it wasn't working that well. And then also using a very rough paintbrush to dab down some gesso just to create some texture more than actually add white to the spread. I still have no idea if what I have in mind will work, but I'm just going with the flow and I'll see where I end up. So I decided to add some stamping on the edge of the spread using matching colors to the background in Memento ink. And also in Distress ink, because I didn't have any Memento ink to match that color. I do want my end result to look much bolder than what it is I have going on now, so I am adding some bolder accents. Still not really sure where I'm going to take this or how I'm going to take it where I would actually want it to go. I wanted to bring back some of that blue that I had in the first layers because I know that I will be applying blue circles on top of it, and this will help me create some variations within the circles. Again, because my surface is so big, it is harder to see how I will build up my composition, and it takes up more time. I got distracted. I did do some of those circles while my camera's not rolling. I did some of the modeling paste, but not to worry because I have to repeat everything. So I'm doing the exact same thing as I did for the previous circles. First, I'm going in with my Derwent pencils, my Derwent Inktense pencils, and then blending the color using a baby wipe so that I really push it into the texture that I have on the background and keeping it soft. The stencil I'm using here is the large version of my circle stencil, but compared to this journal, you might be thinking that I'm using the small version of it. No, this is the big one. This circle is the largest circle on my large circle stencil. So compared to this journal, it looks like eeny, meeny, tiny. Now this circle I want to be my focal point, so instead of just doing it with the Inktense pencils, I'm doing it directly with paint, and I'm creating an ombre directly in the circle without mixing the colors first, just mixing it within the circle. And if you would like to know more about this technique, I'll put the link to this video in the description of this video. I wanted to recreate that same ombre effect in my Inktense pencil circle, so I'm just using the white going over the pencil, and because the pencil is water reactive, it is slightly contaminating my white paint, so it gives me this very, very soft effect. And as I still want it to be very thin and still have that blue paint underneath coming through, I'm lifting up whatever paint is staying on top, not drying when I'm done doing my ombre effect. Like I said, my usual marks to build my composition are lost, for lack of a better word. So I have to repeat something that I already did to make my composition work with this size of a journal. So the other thing I did while my camera was not running was to apply the modeling paste on the edge of the journal. So I'm using a piece of kitchen roll as a mask, and then just applying the modeling paste, and this is golden hard modeling paste, over my honeycomb stencil. Again, this is the large version of the stencil, so not large enough to do this kind of journal in one go. I do know what I want my focal point to be, so I'm just doodling a little plant, and I'm doing so using a Unipin 0.3. I'm adding 3 little circles just to give my plant some kind of movement effect. And then doodling using the stencil around the circle. For the next layer, I was a bit frustrated because I'm using these ColorX watercolor inks to add some drama to the edge of the spread, but I knew exactly which product it is I wanted to use, and it's the new Lindy Stem Gang that I got. They were in order. I knew they were on the way. They did not arrive when I started to film this, so I had to go with this instead for now. But I knew that I might be coming back with the Lindy's Gang, but I had to see what the drama effect would do to the rest of my spread. So for now, just going in with the ColorX, doing with what I have. Again, I repeated the exact same process on the other side, on the other edge of modeling paste, but I cut it out of the video because this is already a 35 minutes video. If I had left everything in there, this would have been a 3 hours video. Seeing this buildup of drama makes me realize that I do need to add more drama to the center of my spread as well. So first I'm going in very, very carefully, just using, again, my Inktense pencil, the black version, adding some shading to my focal point. Really, really careful here. This will not do, but I'm scared of this big surface. I'm going back and forth between, this is fun because I have so much space, to what am I going to do with all this space? So at this point, I'm like, okay, let's add some more drama and let's see where this goes. Working big clearly does things to me because, again, I forgot my camera. I added white doodling around my little plant and then some white splatter, just in the same way as I did now with the black Posca pen, to add black splatters. I am really liking the black, so I want to do more of that. But first of all, I want to protect my focal point, so I'm making a little mask very quickly, just some watercolor paper, cutting out a circle so that I can place it on top of it, and then going in with my Driving Me Circle stencil. Again, large version. There's no small stencils in this Channel on Monday video. Using the Little Black Dress fresco finish paint and then a sponge. And this is where I realized that I had all that texture, that gesso texture, remember, that I did with the sturdy paintbrush. So going over there with a sponge and paint, that's what you get. But I did like it because it really accentuated that drama effect. So I did the same thing on the other side of my focal point in the exact same way, placing my mask on it, placing my stencil, and then going with the sponge. And then with all this black, my focal image, being my little plant, was disappearing in the background. So I needed to bring it back to the foreground, and this time I'm doing it using a Posca pen instead of just a Unipin pen. So the Posca pen is paint, so it makes it really stand out. And then of course I have to redo my white doodling so that it's still visible as well. Of course I need to add my little numbers. I mean, it's not because it's a big journal that I'm not going to use my go-tos. So the circles are each getting their little series of numbers, just using archival ink. And of course these are my biggest little numbers that I have. The other circles were also just too soft and too much in the background, so I needed to bring them back too, adding some black to them, just doodling around them using my circle stencil and a Unipin pen. Meanwhile, look what had arrived. Yeah, I was seriously happy. So the Lindy Stem Gang spray inks had arrived. So of course I had to go in immediately with, this is the Flat Fabio Toto's Tornado Black. And of course I had to look that up. This being done, the spread was calling for some more black accents. The drama effect to it was really appealing, so I wanted to continue with that. So I went in with, again, some black dress fresco finish, using my palette knife and adding some black accents here and there. But while I was doing this, I realized that the spread that I had more or less in mind was not working. The kind of composition that I wanted to do was not working for this kind of size. So this was starting to put me off, and at this point I was about to give up. I didn't know if I could finish it, if I wanted to finish it. So I was just going ahead, not really knowing if this was my last layer or if I would still add something. Because it definitely didn't feel finished. It felt like hanging. Like I said, I was a bit at a loss, not knowing what am I going to do with this. And then on top of things, I didn't like that one area where I added the black, because the black was just pulling down that area of the spread. So I had to cover it up and make it work again with the background. So when I was done with this layer, I walked away and I thought, that's it. I'm just going to add some scribbling. I took out, as you can see, some pieces of fabric to see if I wanted to add it or not. And while I was doing the scribbling, I thought, well, when this is done, I think that the spread is done. I think I just want to walk away because I've had it. And then I changed my mind again. I thought, I'm not going to run away just yet. I'm going to add one more Butterfly Whispers mixed media sticker because I want to add a little heart, and maybe that will help. But I walked away not knowing if I would finish it. The next day, however, looking at it, I knew that I wanted to add a wording on the other side. I had to actually walk away from my focal point to make my composition work with this size of journal. So I picked out some paints, added some more splatters to fill up all that empty space that I had. And at this point, again, I was enjoying the fact that I had so much space to play with. But I also needed to keep on balancing out that spread. So I added some more black paint, again using my Driving Me Circle stencil, using a sponge, so that my wording was like framed on both sides by that same kind of design. To pull the drama effect that I have on the edges and around my focal point back into the rest of the spread, I'm going back in with my black Inktense pencil, which is water soluble, and then playing around with water to blend it out. When this was done, I went back in with some Lindy Stamgang just to add some splatters with shimmers to it. So I didn't leave the splatters to dry completely. I halfway dried them with my heat gun and then picked up the color again with a piece of kitchen roll so that only the shimmer would be left on the paper. So, the size matters when it comes to art journaling? Well, with like so many things in life, yes, it does. On the downside, working so big took me way more time than it usually does. It also took me way more product to fill up all that space, and yes, it makes it much more expensive. On the positive side, I did not expect to have this much fun with so much space to play on. It gives a kind of freedom that I really appreciated. To give you an idea, the top journal is my A Layer a Day challenge journal. The middle-sized one is my regular Journal on Monday art journal. And then at the bottom you have the big boy. I absolutely plan to continue using that journal, but probably not for the videos because it would take up way too much time to get them done. That's it for today. I hope you liked today's video. If so, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I will see you back here next time. Meanwhile, don't forget to put down a layer a day. Butterfly kisses.